Why is Wikimedia Commons so broken? Or in other words, what kind of wiki is our media repository actually? Not all wikis are the same. What a wiki is used for, that has major consequences for its functioning, or sometimes the non-functioning. I'm Zico van Dijk and I have been working with wikis for many years. I have talked to people from many different backgrounds, done research, and last year my book was published, Understanding Wikis and Wikipedia, in German. Wikimedia Commons, we don't really have a good abbreviation, do we? I'll use Commons or WMC. So Commons is known to have some issues. But I am not so much interested in a single problem. I'm thinking more about how did we get into this mess. Wikipedia is great, so why is WMC, our media collection, so behind the times? Of course, there must be someone to blame. That's who we point the finger at, don't we? But it could be that several fingers are then pointing back to ourselves. The Wikimedia Foundation has tried to improve Commons in the past, but then the community gave the foundation the middle finger. Because the community didn't like the new features like the media viewer. But if we look for culprits, then we get back into the field of pettiness and it becomes confusing. Let's try to get an overview instead. WMC is a wiki, Wikipedia is also a wiki, but clearly different. So we need to look at what a wiki is in general and how it works. In my book I have described several principles or features of wikis. You can browse the book afterwards. It is open access. Today we are going to look at some principles. How does a wiki grow and become huge? Let's look at Wikipedia. There is content. Readers come to Wikipedia and read the content. A few readers become contributors. The contributors then edit the content. Then there is more content, and more content attracts more readers. That is the general wiki cycle. When this works, the wiki does well. The principle of uniqueness or unicality. We don't have a better word for that, so what is meant? In Wikipedia, we allow only one article on each topic. This means that if I want to contribute to the topic, I have to do so in the article that already exists. I am not allowed to simply create a new article on the same topic. So what are the consequences of this? The content in Wikipedia is communal. It does not belong to individual authors. That leads to collaboration. Collaboration is not always pleasant and peaceful. You deal with other contributors. You have to talk about what you are doing, how you are doing it, why you are doing it, why one solution should be better than another one. You get to know each other, and that's how a community develops. And while you are at it, the community sets itself rules. We mostly talk about text, but how about pictures? An article on Wikipedia can have several images, but which images and which one should be at the top? That's what we negotiate about in Wikipedia. Fine. Now let's take a look at WMC. Do the Wiki Principles also apply to this wiki? In WMC or Commons, a contributor can easily upload a new picture and assign it to a category. Then contributor number 2 joins in and does the same. This works relatively independently of each other. There can be several pictures on the same topic. There is no principle of unicality. The participants are not forced to collaborate. With some exceptions. That is, there should be only one category on the same topic in Commons. And then there can be only one gallery page per topic. You might argue, if you wish, which picture should be at the top. but we don't really make much use of gallery pages. So when it comes to organize the content, we do have some of that principle of unicality in WMC. But with the actual content, with the files, we don't have the principle. However, there is collaboration and communality of content. You can certainly work together on a picture, but this is rather rare. Maybe I download an image, increase the contrasts and upload it again, or an SVG file can be edited, or I work on typos in metadata or add categories, but we hardly ever collaborate really on images, and someday we may want to discuss why that is the case. And why should I argue in Commons anyway? After all, the masses of readers don't know of Commons, they go to Wikipedia. Therefore, the Wikipedia contributors care about what is shown in Wikipedia, and that is where the negotiation processes take place. And what about the wiki cycle? When a reader discovers a typo in a text, she may think, I'll fix that typo quickly. But what about a picture? How would you improve it, and how would you deal with images in Wikipedia at all? That is quite complicated, and our reader would have to learn that there is a Wikimedia Commons website in the first place. And now someone might say, what about the people who come directly to Commons via Google image search? There could be a wiki cycle of Commons proper with the intermediate step of such a search engine. But I doubt that. There are very few people who come directly to WMC. According to the Wikimedia statistics, Commons attracts only very few hits by itself. The vast majority of people who come to Commons find their way via a click in Wikipedia. So how about the Wiki Principles and Wikimedia Commons? Without the principle of unicality, there is little to negotiate. Consequently, there is little collaboration, and so on. We do have disputes and rules in Commons, but these mainly concern the question of which images I am allowed to upload, for example when it comes to copyright. But in general, compared to a large Wikipedia language version, we do not have a lot of rules on Wikimedia Commons. And what about a community? Actually, there is a community on Commons, but you can see from the village pump there, the forum, the general talk page, for example, that rather few things are discussed there. Mostly it's technology and legal issues and categories. And suppose I invite people to an online meeting about Wikimedia Commons, then I have to go to many wikis and other social media to reach the different people. The most effective is actually still the Wikimail. Let's talk about types of wikis. I distinguish the following 4 types. First, the recipient-oriented wikis, like Wikipedia, are platforms for the production and distribution of content. Content should serve the recipients. After all, we say in Wikipedia, always think of the reader. The modificient-oriented wikis, that is, I call the contributors or editors the modificients, those who changed something, anyhow, like the Grundschulwiki, are digital learning environments. They are supposed to help the modificients to learn something. For example, students are supposed to learn how to work together on a text. Such learning platforms have no real external recipients, and that is why the dynamics there are completely different from those in Wikipedia. Thirdly, the owner-oriented wikis, like the corporate wikis or business wikis or enterprise wikis, are digital work environments where employees work for the owner for the sake of corporate goals. In the Wikimedia movement, maybe MetaWiki is a bit like that. And number 4, The content-oriented wikis such as Wikimedia Commons and Wikidata have the task of collecting, curating and providing content. The content is mostly not consumed on these websites but embedded on other websites. As we have seen, this too has major consequences. And this brings us to 3 concluding theses. Number 1. Wikimedia Commons is still useful. However, it works differently than Wikipedia. You have to understand this first if you want to think about how to improve Commons. You can't just draw on your experience with Wikipedia. Number 2. That is why there is hardly a community emerging in WMC that can effectively address problems. So that's why, because of how it works, not by historical accident and not because of any culprits. Thesis number 3. Initiatives have to compensate for the weaknesses of WMC. We have to see how much internal or external such initiatives have to be. I think that the Commons Photographers user group is a good approach, but maybe this group doesn't take all interested people with it. In any case, we should not wait for the problems of Wikimedia Commons to solve themselves or for that to happen on Commons alone. It has to be a joint effort of the stakeholders. So that was my attempt to explain the Wikimedia Commons situation. Thank you for your interest, and if you want, feel free to contact me.